Hello, and welcome to Traditional Stitches FlossTube video number 56. I'm Janice Spencer, the owner of Traditional Stitches, and with me today is Rose Heck, our Stitch Along leader.
Good
Is
morning.
this going to be the last time I get to say that?
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet.
Totally. We're going to have to come up with something else.
Yeah.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, Rose.
Happy Valentine's Day, Janice.
We were talking, you can see in the window behind me that it's snowing here in Calgary today. It's still a little bit cold, but
Yeah, and we've got snow coming down too. It's, well, I wouldn't say it's lazy and it's not heavy, but it's accumulating. So, and just to forewarn everybody, you might hear dogs behind me. I'm from 1 to 3 dogs today, and they're high need. They get a little anxious with each other, so who knows?
okay. Well, if they get noisy, then we'll just stop talking.
That's right. Yeah,
pause the video and
just to forewarn everybody that I am not having a party back here. It's just dogs.
Yeah, and we live in the real world, so sometimes we just gotta cope, hey?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So how's your month been?
My month has been busy. I can't believe we're halfway through February already. Yeah, it's been good until we've gotten the colder weather, and then we've hunkered down.
So it's been a month since our last video. We recorded it just before I left for Sampler Symposium in Arizona. And then of course on the 31st Jean passed away. And so the timing of Sampler Symposium was just amazing for those of us that got to spend some time with her for those days. And she was able to come for a couple of brief visits to the Sampler Symposium, and just to see the look on her face and the emotions and stuff that she went through. Seeing all those people and feeling all that love was really, and this was really an epic event for her. She had such big visions for it, and it all came together and all was perfect. So for her to be able to see that was really great. And from my personal point of view, you know, she showed so much grit and grace over the last few years of battling with cancer and still being a force in our industry and keeping on top of that. I have endless amounts of admiration for her. And also we saw her suffer quite a bit. So she was ready, and so I'm grateful that that part is done. But we're going to miss her terribly. I'm going to insert a photo here of me and Jean at the Nashville Needlework Market in March of 2020, where one of the things that we enjoyed doing together was to share a beer or a glass of wine. So here's a picture. So unfortunately, I won't be able to make it to Phoenix for Jean's celebration of life on the 22nd of February. We have a pre-planned family holiday that we're going to go on, and that's the day that we fly home. So anyways,
you're getting away from the snow for a week.
Yes, and then I'm going to get to see everybody in Nashville in just 3 weeks. So keeping my eye on that press. So in today's video, we're going to wrap up our Hands Across the Sea Samplers exclusive and Jonson sampler stitch along and show both of our finishes on that. We're going to talk about all things Nashville, and you and I are going to share our top-ish list of choices so far. I have a very small hand-dyed fabric parade, and then just talk about plants. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, so let's start with Ann Jonson. We've seen yours on social media, but can we see it in person, please?
Yeah, well, and I don't have anything in front of me anymore because we're officially done as of today. So just make sure I don't wreck anything. Oh, lighting, sorry.
That's
Wow.
okay. Oh, it looks
That's,
awesome. She's such
yeah.
a big girl.
She is, I didn't realize how big she was going to be. And when you keep on rolling your scroll rods down and down, it's like, how big is this going to end up? You just, I mean, you see the stitch count, but you really don't envision how big it's going to end up being. So
Yeah,
she's a long, tall girl. So,
yeah, it looks great.
yeah.
So tell me about your frame.
Well, the frame it was a bigger frame a few years ago. And due to a cutting mistake, not by myself, it just languished in the closet. It was, just big pieces. So when it came to framing this, I looked at that and I thought, this might be what I want. So we cut it down. And one thing I'll mention, if anybody is framing and they want to change the color of something, if you're cutting pieces down, those leftover pieces, use it to audition your stains, your paints. And that's what I did to figure out what I wanted to do. And I ended up using a black, and I used, because I can't go outside to spray paint or polyurethane. My polyurethane was in a can, and it does say satin on it, and it came out more of a gloss. And I went, okay, I'm not mad about it. It's just a little shinier.
Yeah, it looks great.
But yeah, it looks pretty fancy and intricate, kind of, I mean, nothing is ever going to be the wrong thing with Ann Jonson, because, she is the star of the show. So
yeah.
She's so pretty.
Yeah, so many possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I got mine finished too. I ended up taking a couple of personal mental health days last weekend. Had the house to myself. So I actually finished 6 projects.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So now I need to do the same thing on a weekend with my sewing machine, because I have a lot of finishing to do.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So my Anne is not framed and also not ironed, but it is done. So Anne was a little trickster in the end, where she was pretty predictable through the rest of the sampler. In the bottom section, she threw us a couple of curveballs. In the border, which I think we talked about last video, there were changes to the count where she'd been consistent up until that point.
Right.
But the other thing that drove me crazy was the sawtooth cartouche. She was all over the place in her sawtooth pattern.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing was just doing the repeat of the pattern consistently without trying to use her compensating stitches and that kind of thing. And then whenever I got into a corner, I just kind of fudged things a little bit there to make them meet.
Okay.
Because nobody's ever going to know what was intentional or what wasn't intentional. But it would have taken so much longer if I actually followed what she did. And I'm pretty happy with the results. So,
and I would never know, between yours and mine. Yeah. And you're right, it kind of drove me crazy. And I think I had to frog 3 times, not a huge amount. And that's why it's always nice to have things above and below that you can count off of. So, and I did make mention in the Facebook page, and I may have circled the 3 areas to watch for. I think it was only 3 areas. But yeah, I was like, how did this little girl do this? And I thought, okay, that's the key, is she was a little girl and counting is not their forte. Okay, who am I to say? Counting is maybe not our forte as adults, so it's all good.
So I can imagine that if she worked top to bottom like I did, she got near the bottom and she was just as anxious as I was to have it finished off, and maybe a few things slipped by but she had to adjust the pattern so that everything met at the bottom.
Right.
One thing I want to talk about is placement of our personal stitching initials. So I went through and looked at a bunch of finishes in our Facebook group to see what people had done and what I liked and stuff. And so in the end, I put my initials underneath that basket in cross stitch over one, and then the year underneath that basket.
That's good too.
I use this color because it's crossover one, and it's what I had in Swasserfine, and so that's what that color.
I don't actually even remember what I did anymore. And it's funny with putting initials any given day. each day might be something different that I choose. It's just whatever I felt that day. And the next day might be totally different. Okay, I don't know. Oh, no. I don't know where I put it. It's somewhere.
Yours are above your sawtooth cartouche next to the flower pot.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Okay.
I know I looked at yours specifically to see if I wanted to do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there's no right or wrong. You know, I could have even put it on the outside of the border.
So the other thing that I did was I put in the black and white Charlie dog, like I said I was going to,
Yeah.
for our standard poodle.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
Good
anyways,
idea.
I was very happy to have it done.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that it needed to be over with, but just that.
Yeah. Anything that I'm close to being done, I just end up like everything else gets put by the wayside, and I just, you know, head down, butt up kind of idea. I get it done. So
the feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess the other thing that I wanted to say about this sampler is in her border leaves, the vast majority of them were quite blocky.
Yeah.
I elongated all of mine. I wanted them to be the prettier version. So that was a change that I made.
Yeah. And that's for your own personal self. You know, if anybody was to look at mine or yours or anybody else's, they would not know the difference. But it's what in your heart feels right. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why she picked the non-pointy leaves, the square. Yeah.
No, me neither. When everything else on the sampler is so elegant.
Yeah, yeah, it's odd. The psychology of little girl stitchers, you know, why did they do what they did? And there again, it goes back to they're little girls, you know, so they, yeah, one less stitch that they had to do.
I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, so then the big question is, what follows our Ann Jonson sampler? So 2025 is our 25th year in business. And so we have a very, very exciting exclusive coming up. It's not a big enough sampler to require a stitch along, in my opinion. But we will definitely have videos about it and talk about it for sure. It is going to come out after we're going to announce it after the Nashville chaos is over, and then collect the supplies and everything, and then have it ready probably for early summer, late spring, early summer. And I haven't seen it yet, but I'm really hoping that it is a companion piece for a very popular exclusive we had for our 20th anniversary. So that's my hint. All right. So then the thing that is consuming my mind is the Nashville Needlework Market. So 3 weeks from today, Lisa and I will be in Nashville, and the shopping frenzy will begin Friday afternoon. Just 3 weeks. And I'm going away for a week. What was I thinking? It's our first family holiday that we're taking, and it had to fit into the university calendar. So we're going to go to Mexico for 5 days. We got a good deal, so we're just going to go and do it.
Okay.
So for Nashville, we've got 13 pages of previews listed on our website, and Diana's working from home this weekend to get a whole bunch more added. There are still a number of designers that we haven't heard from with their previews, so that's going to come within the next few days. So I've put the link below for our Nashville preview section. Keep checking back, keep refreshing your page, because we're working on that on a daily basis, and there's still lots of exciting stuff to come.
There is, yeah.
So we are strongly encouraging pre-orders this year, because I want to be able to bring back everything that we need right away with me in my luggage. So usually that's several hundred pounds of charts and fabric and everything. So that's exciting. But I thought we'd talk about a few tips for pre-ordering for Nashville.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah. So, and you were in our shop doing work on the website during Nashville before. And of course, you've been a customer of ours, so you know how Nashville works for forever. So yeah, a couple of tips. So the first one that I suggest is if you're eyeing up anything from our international overseas designers, such as Julia Puntiantici, Primitive Hair, Manny Didona, MTV, those advance orders we definitely want to have so that we can be sure to pick up those things when we see them. Fox and Rabbit charts that applies to, they are bringing some yardage of their new colors of linen, and I honestly am not holding out much hope of getting them at market, but they will ship them to us shortly after market. So definitely order those, and then we'll be on top of it as we possibly can be. The other fiber dyer that we know we're picking up new colors from is Fiber on a Whim. So yeah. And then the next place to look is to limited editions and market exclusives. So a limited edition, like Praiseworthy Samplers Kit, where they are only going to have had a limited amount of the little accoutrements that they use when they put their really amazing kits together, that kind of thing. And then also exclusives. Now, oftentimes the Nashville exclusives are just exclusives for 60 days or 90 days or something like that. But if you want to get them sooner, then we suggest targeting those.
Right.
Anything else come to mind?
The one thing with shop exclusives, I think it's something that Yarn Tree puts out to each designer saying, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And it is for shop owners exclusively to take home, if I'm not mistaken. So if it's something you really want and your shop owner is going to Nashville, get on the bandwagon and be a part of that. And there's a lot of really good shop exclusives, and they're packaged so that everything is included in them.
The Yarn Tree ones are just charts.
Okay, I may be mistaken on that, but I do know like the kits itself, most of them are all like, from start to finish. Even with a needle, and you might have to put in stuffing or something, but and they're nice little kits.
One designer that we haven't heard from yet, but we should any day now, is Samplers Not Forgotten, and she does some great limited edition kits that always sell out. So
yes,
and out on that.
I feel like there was somebody else, Jessie and Me. Does she not?
I don't think I saw her on the exhibitor list.
No, okay, so I'm mistaken because I don't have a list of that.
So and then the other thing that you should know from our shop is that you can go ahead and place multiple orders because we have systems in place to combine them as best we can. So if you see something that you want, just order it. Now, don't wait until you've seen them all or till you have a few other things to put into your basket. Just send through the order because we're actually already getting to the point where some of the designers' pre-order deadlines are coming up. So the sooner that I have your order, the sooner I can add it to my totals. And then on our website, we always have checkboxes that are add the threads, add the linen. And so as soon as your order comes in, like if we got it this afternoon, we would be putting linen and threads together for you so that when I come back with the charts, we can get that out to you as fast as we can. So feel free to do multiple orders. And remember that every time you submit an order, our website doesn't charge you automatically. We wait until we manually process your package the day that we're getting ready to put it into the mail to charge you. So then you'll know that you're not going to pay for shipping more than once or anything like that. So one of my favorite parts about getting ready for the Nashville Needlework Market is when you and I put our heads together and with our top 10-ish list of things that have been released so far. And so why I think that's so fun is to see how close we are in our lists.
I know.
Because we have such similar taste. So do you want to trade back and forth?
Counting 5, 6, 7. I have 8. I didn't get 10. because I thought we were doing 5.
Yeah.
So I always add extra, so, but that's okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Did I write that wrong? My first one that I put down, and there's no particular order, there's no, favorites or anything, is Stitches Be Sweet from Jeannette Douglas. That one's a pretty one.
Yeah, so I can show you that because I actually have my kit here close at hand. She taught this at Acorns and Threads 2 years ago.
Okay.
And Lisa and I went down for that class. So
Okay.
here is the cover photo for Stitches Be Sweet. And it was really, really fun to stitch. And then you just bear with me while I do a little bit of wrestling. So that was the sampler that I showed you, but it also includes 2 smalls.
Right. I've
And
never
this
seen
is
those.
a fine example of where I need a weekend with my sewing machine.
Okay.
So that, and then those guys are reverse sized of the scissor fob.
Okay.
And then I can even show you my sampler, although I was all over the place when I was stitching this. So there's holes in my stitch. So there's 2 satin stitch bands that I still need to finish in there. And just finding that this is, I think, needle and flax or seraphim linen, and just the color, the tone of it, I really need to be working with my magnifier on it to find the holes properly to do that satin stitch. So, but beautiful, so much fun, and Jeannette Douglas, right?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. She's one of my faves.
Yep. All right. So my first one on my list is also Jeannette Douglas. And one of the first things she released for market this year is her My Stitching album project. And I'm kicking myself because I meant to bring mine back from 2008 when she first released this to show you. And then I was going to drive to the shop this morning to go get it, but my car is in for service. So I'm a hostage here in my own house, so I can't go anywhere. Anyways, so I'll show that another time.
Yeah.
But it is an incredible compilation of work. And you can see a whole bunch of pictures on our website of the pages in the book. And actually the stitcher whose pages Jeannette is using for her images was one of our stitchers who did it as a collector program, a monthly program back in starting in 2008.
Right.
And so she actually stitched hers reversibly because the pages of the book, the backside of the pages of the book show. And so she stitched hers reversibly so that that would be just as beautiful as the front. And so the link to that is below, and I suggest you have a look because it is stunning.
Yeah, the first time I had seen it was at a, not a retreat, a weekend class of hers. And I think she had maybe her own book. I don't remember either that or it was seminar back in 2015, 16. And I had seen it and I fell in love with it, but she didn't have it available anymore. So I didn't know that she had planned to, publish it again and freshen it up and all that. So
I'm super excited to get my hands on a copy of the book. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be coil bound, and there's so much like Jeannette Douglas stitch diagrams and everything in there. That's one that I'm really,
as a person that has stitched an awful lot of Jeannette Douglas's, her stitch diagrams and her instructions are impeccable. And if you're afraid of doing specialty stitches, she, well, I hate to say it, but she dumbs it down. She makes it easy for everybody. So
yeah, if you're the kind of stitcher who either enjoys having an adventure in specialty stitches or would like to have an adventure in specialty stitches, this would be a great project for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, what's the second one on your list?
Milady's Posies from Jan Hicks. And I remember her getting this little compact, a needlepoint compact, a year or 2 ago and showed it. And then she came up, so she has the reproduction in the center of it. And then she's added alphabets on one side. I don't remember the other side, and then a border. And it's just really pretty and attractive. So if you like botanicals and, soft colors, it's actually a really nice piece.
Okay, well, I'll put a
So-
picture of it here so
Mhm.
that people can see what you talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second one on my list is Rebel Stitchers Disagree.
Oh,
So this is a chart that a stitch along is already arranged for, and it is a sampler, and I'll put a picture in a minute,
mhm.
that's got Quaker motifs around the outside, and then it's got a verse in the middle. And we've had a ton of advanced orders for this, so lots of
Okay.
people are going to be kitting it up. So the verse says, "We can disagree and still love each other, unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and denial of my humanity and right to exist." So I think
Yeah.
that's something a lot of people are feeling at the moment. So it's been very popular.
Very apropos for right now.
Yeah.
I missed that one. I didn't
Yeah.
see that one.
So it is stitched on a hand-dyed linen, and then it calls for 7 skeins of, I think it's Granny Annie is the color of classic Colorworks floss that it calls for,
Okay.
but you could do it in any color that you like.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Okay, your next one.
I've got, I'm gonna pick the first one, and if I need a bonus one. So it's Faithful, Kind and True from Teresa Kogut.
Okay.
And I mean, anything that Teresa does, they're all really good. And so it's kind of an eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Totally.
This one is really nice.
Okay, I'll insert a picture here. My next one up on my list is the also Teresa Kogut, and it's the Naughty or Nice stocking.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, with the fat green Santa on it, and I just it's just whimsical and different. So yeah.
Well, if we're gonna be on the Teresa Kogut kick,
Okay.
I might as well finish off with hers, and it's the Folk Art Garden. And it's on a darker linen.
Yes.
And I really I love folk art. And this one is really attractive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, we'll put a picture of that one in.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay. All right. So then was it my turn or your turn?
Your turn.
Okay. So the next one that I have is Julia Punty and Teachy's Charlotte pincushion doll. So we are a big fan of everything Julia does, but particularly her pincushion dolls. And if you're looking for a couple of classics, she designed a doll whose namesake was Jean, and she's also done a doll whose namesake was Janice. So we're in a pretty special group of shop owners, I guess, that have that. But this is Charlotte. And she's very pretty, and she is, so you stitch her skirt and then you attach it to a porcelain half doll, and you've done a number of these, right?
I have done 3, and I've got a few more to do.
Yeah. And so we have the half dolls are on order, and kind of a nice thing is that this year for this doll, Julia used an American maker, which means that the price point is a little bit friendlier, and they're a little bit easier to get than some international doll makers. All right.
So I almost picked Charlotte because I love these porcelain dolls, being that I have quite a few in my collection. But I decided to be a little bit different and just highlight something that's a little bit different, and that's Emma, a Queen Anne pincushion doll. And she uses, I believe, a thread board, and it reminds me of the paper cutouts, doll paper cutouts, and then you do a little skirt. And so she's a double duty. Not only can you display her, but you can use her.
Yes.
And I thought it was really ingenious of Julia to come up with this. So
yeah, it was a really great twist. So
I like that.
Sure.
Really
I can't wait to get my hands on those.
I can't either. Okay, your turn.
Okay, so the next one on my list is Manny Di Donna, who is an Italian designer. But she did a design this year called We Stand on Guard, which is a Canadian themed sampler. So it has a flag, it has a couple of little verses from our national anthem, Mountie, a couple of moose and mountains. And so here's a picture of it.
I missed that one.
And we just, these days we all need it. So
yeah.
Okay. Your turn.
My next one, I'm going to a reproduction, and it's Hannah Barnett from Queenstown Sampler Designs. And I think what drew me in was the very large bird in the center, surrounded by botanicals, I guess. And then it has, you know, other little things. But that one is really quite pretty. Now, everybody loves birds and houses, but this one really stood out to me. Okay.
Barbara does an amazing job with her reproduction samplers.
Yeah,
so
yeah, she does.
Yeah, she had a number of really good ones this year.
Yeah. She did.
Okay. My next one is also a reproduction sampler. It's from Robin at Old Willow Stitchery, and it's called Anne Haynes.
Okay.
And we are actually taking a class from Robin on this sampler at Nashville. Lisa and I both were lucky enough to get in to take the class. And so it is a Quaker sampler in the collection of a museum that allowed Robin to reproduce it.
Right.
And I could be wrong on this, but I think that the shops that are taking the class get exclusive access to the church. So that's neat.
Nice.
So it has real cute, not cute. It has a verse in a cartouche at the top, and the verse reads, "May I with innocence and peace my tranquil moments spend, when the toils of life shall cease, with calmness meet my end." So not sweet, but a little bit, you know, morbid, but the girls did those days. So we'll go with that.
Yeah.
All right.
My last one that I have is from the Blue Flower. And the reason I picked on it is because I've noticed a lot of people are like looking for birth samplers. And I've brought this up before, and it's called Baby Animals. Now I mean, I really like animals, and I mean, it's springtime, it's the birth of animals. And I thought this would be not only great for just stitching for yourself, but if you have a new one in the family, or this would be great that you could add those statistics. And it's just cute. Jeannette is just she does animals really nicely. So
yeah, cool. Here's a picture of it for everybody to see. And then, so my last two are new releases from Brenda Gervais. She had a number of great ones, so it was a little bit hard to narrow it down. The first one is the Hop Inch Spring, which has just got great colors and just typical Brenda Gervais fashion. And here's a picture of it. And the second one is The Earth Laughs. And so she has a few samplers now that are of this similar format, with the Quaker medallions around and the house in it. And I actually, on my finishing binge, got Pisa and Goodwill done. So here that is. And this one, I changed the color of the house. So I think I mentioned that. And I'm really, really happy with the effect. The house is supposed to be, I think it's maybe Old Hickory from Gentle Art, so quite golden.
Okay.
And so the two that are companion pieces to this that she released for Nashville have gold houses in them too.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to change those.
Oh, really? You live in a yellow house? Well, the shop is in a yellow.
The shop is, yeah, well, maybe this one will be better, but I just found that like in this section, in this house, there are little trees down there and this wreath around and ribbon over the door, and those just really got lost in the thread color. So
she's got a golden yellow house with a blue door. I love that.
Yep. And so there's not those elements in there. So the gold might just work just fine, but
It really
depends what I
does work.
decide to do for the series.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quakers are really popular, whether they're original or reproduction. Who has a
SAL.
Quaker?
Yeah.
I was just trying to think who has a Quaker. And I almost wrote it down. And I didn't because I thought, no, I'm over the amount that I'm supposed to have, not realizing.
A Quaker that's a reproduction from Nashville?
Yes, yes. Well, if I end up finding it.
Okay. Yeah, you
I'll
tell
let
me
you
because
see.
it'll take me a couple of hours to edit and upload the video, and I can always smush it in there.
Yeah, and it's just not see, and I should have written it down, but yeah,
Oh.
like I said,
So
I figured I was over my limit.
we did a pretty good job. We didn't have any duplicates. We had
We did.
duplicates in our
We-
designers, but no duplicates in our
Designs.
Yeah.
Well, we did it. Oh, we had my stitching album. That was the only one. But we did have, yeah, no, that was the only design duplicate. You're right.
Oh, well, it's worth doubling up on that one for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to, that one old, everything old is new again.
Yeah, well, it's nice that it could get revisited and have a second life.
I know.
I think that's
know.
awesome. So, Cross Stitch Antiques has a Quaker.
I just found it, and it's Mary Colby.
Yeah, and that is jam-packed with motifs.
It is, and I have one Quaker I've done. I've got another Quaker I'll eventually do, and I know you've done a Quaker. So Quakers, they're fun to do.
They are fun to do.
I've done, a couple different and original, and the motifs are just happy. This one is jam-packed.
Yeah, they're just awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to do the very brief hand-dyed linen parade, and that is because the linen hasn't arrived yet.
Okay.
So actually, I checked my shipping updates this morning, and Seraphim is arriving at the shop today, and Mason is arriving at the shop today, and Fox and Rabbit should be at the shop tomorrow.
Okay.
But I don't have them here to show you. So, so what I'm going to do is when I get back to the shop and I have a chance to give them out, if there are colors that we have a good amount of yardage left of, I'm going to put them into the hand-dyed parade link, which you can find in the box below, so that you can order. So I'll have that loaded up by the end of the day on Saturday. So just go have a look, refresh your page, and there should be a few more choices. But in the meantime, I have this R&R linen that we haven't seen in years to show you. And I know I mentioned it in the last video, but it's here now and I'm pretty excited to see. So this is Abecedarian. And it is a very versatile color. It's a lighter and more golden, as opposed to a little bit more brown tan of some of the R&R.
Right.
So if you were looking for a lighter and more golden R&R fabric, this is an excellent substitution for some of the ones that we haven't been able to get. So this is 32 Abecedarian. Oh, sorry, this one's 36 and this one's 32. And I think the 32 dye lot came out a little less, I'd almost say bright, a little bit darker than the 36 this time around.
Yeah.
But we have several yards of each on hand, so now is the time to gobble it up in 32 and 36 count. And then, like I said, Seraphim, Mason, Fox and Rabbit will be here today and tomorrow. So we will also be sending out a few extra newsletters over the next couple of weeks, just to kind of drive you to remember to look at the Nashville previews and place your orders, and just so that we can keep on top of it as best we can. You can always order Nashville stuff aftermarket, or they will be available as long as it wasn't a limited edition that hasn't sold out. So you don't need to feel a panic or budgetary constraints, but it really helps me to be efficient in what I'm getting at market if I know in advance. So then what have you got coming up in the next few weeks?
Was just thinking about that. I know next week I have to babysit, and I think it has to do with kids have some school off and parents have to work. And there's, in winter we don't really do a lot. And being hubby's away 2 weeks at a time, if it doesn't involve, my own work, and I'm a little quieter next week. So just because I think kids might be off school and that. And I haven't shown it, but I'm still working on that map, and I'm probably over 3/4 of the way done.
Oh,
And so I've got a goal set for the end of March. We'll see. So I'll be, evenings working on that and stuff, and starting to think about maybe doing some spring cleaning, maybe, and maybe starting to think about planning for the garden and that kind of thing. So how about Mexico? You're going to Mexico.
Yeah, going to Mexico next week, and so it will be an interesting adventure, I think, for sure. And but looking forward to some downtime, some rest and relaxation for sure. And then it's just going to be all about Nashville after that.
Are you going to rest and relax, or is it going to be rest, relax, and a glass of wine in one hand and a laptop on the other?
I have got a very good cell phone plan, so I will be available for my shop employees. And the other thing that I really have to do next week is watch these Nashville releases coming out into the shop email, so that I can, we can't add everything to our website. So my job is going to be to give a little bit of guidance and suggestions and stuff to the gals that are back working in the shop. So I do have to watch it.
So limited in, but got to do what you got to do.
I'm hoping to have a really great time and get away from this cold weather. And then come back ready to jump right in. I wasn't really sure if we should talk about this, but I'm just going to mention it here. Being that we are a Canadian needle workshop, and I read the news every day to figure out what's going to happen with this cross-border tariff stuff. So I just want to mention it here because I want everybody to know that we are on top of it and we are watching, and I have a couple of different game plans in mind, depending on what decisions get made, decisions that are completely outside of my control.
Exactly.
But the one thing that I do want to say and have people thinking about is it would be virtually impossible to run a needle workshop that keeps 6 people employed based on only Canadian products, without bringing designs, fabric, threads, etc. in from the States. So that simply isn't an option for keeping our business doors open and for keeping my staff employed. So we will continue to ebb and flow as we need to, but we have had a couple of inquiries into what our plans are going to be that way, and that is what I can tell you for sure. And then we'll just play it by ear. But what's going to be really important to me is, once we know more, is having open conversations with our customers who have standing orders, and information on our website about customers who are thinking about orders. So what I want you to do is to not let that impact your ordering now, because now is when you really need your support and to go forward. And then in whatever amount of time, if the tariffs are no longer a thing, then everybody's going to want their Canadian needle workshops to still be open and still be able to offer all the things that they want. So you have to keep your eye on the prize, kind of thing.
I agree.
It's confusing times and it's stressful times, and so we're just going to do the best we can do and figure it out as we go along.
Exactly.
but lots of exciting things to look forward to in the meantime. So yeah, can't get too bogged down.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and I talked, and we think that we're going to do a video on Wednesday, February 26th.
Right.
With our Nashville top 10-ish list part 2. And by that point, we should have seen almost all of the Nashville previews. And so then we'll just have more and different things to talk about at that point.
Exactly. Exactly. I've already seen some that are just not on your website yet. Whether it's through FlossTubes or I just see sneak peeks on Instagram or Facebook. So there is a lot more up and coming. And I know we had you had listed a whole bunch that you haven't seen yet. So just wait, there's more.
Yep. And the thread companies are going to have new sets of colors.
Right.
Gentle Art will have new colors. Classic will. Threadworks is doing a set of threads that supports a bunch of designs that are being released that are in the same kind of color family theme. Right. So we have those thread packs listed on our website. And I know Gloriana will have new colors, so we'll have those. And yeah, lots of exciting things to look forward to.
Can I make one mention of something I have not bought, but I'm thinking this year is the cookbook, Happiness is Homemade.
Yes.
And I like, there's designers that are putting in small little snippets here and there, and they're showing them and going, wow. And the one I'm thinking of is she's a new designer, Shelley from Antique Needleworkers. And she made a little needle case, which is really sweet. And she put a recipe in for strawberry rhubarb pie.
Well, you need to get your advance order in for that, because we have pre-sold so many cookbooks this year that I've already increased my advance order with Yarn Tree 3 times. And I'm going to have to do it again. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good reminder for me, because I thought of it yesterday and I thought I really should, because every year I forget to do it and I kick myself. And I think the cookbook is just getting better and better as it's getting more exposure and more designers are wanting to be a part of it. It's just a little way of putting a small in and getting them out there. So yeah. Yeah.
And so the cookbook is only available to shops that attend Nashville. So sometimes afterwards they'll do an extra print run so that we can order more, but they still only will sell them at that point to shops that physically attend Nashville. So that's a great way to support the shops that make the investment of the time and the money to go and participate in this amazing industry.
Yeah. And who doesn't love something that combines two things that we love, stitching and cooking or eating. Yeah. So
good. All right. Well, thanks, Rose, for your time.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Janice.
And I hear you're going to stop in at the shop next week, but I won't be there, so I'll miss you.
I know. Yeah. Sorry about that. With the gas, the price that it is, and with the road conditions up and down, I have to combine trips. So I'm going to do a 2-for-1 next week.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Yeah. And then we'll catch up afterwards.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, Rose.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.